Pleasant good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the Friday afternoons episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Friday the 13th. Today is Friday the 13th of June, 2025. So welcome to this program. Hope you had a wonderful day, night. You're looking forward to a pleasant and enjoyable weekend. Father's Day weekend. Welcome one and all. Welcome. Share the live. You know the drill. Share the live. Today, Friday the 13th. For those of you who remember the horror movie, Friday the 13th. Jason and the Rampage on Friday the 13th. We have a lot of Jasons around, A lot of Jasons around. So share the live. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, as you would come to see all the turmoil in the world. Give praise and thanks for being here this afternoon. Share. Give us a thumbs up, and we're going to be with you. As usual, we have lots to tell you this afternoon. It's amazing. A friend of mine would say you get so much content, From the time we left here, We left here on Wednesday afternoon, and we had planned to continue with some stuff. But so many things have happened between Wednesday and now that we feel that we got to bring you up to date with those issues. You have to come here to get the credible and valuable information. This is where it's at. So welcome one and all. Share the live. We schedule the program, or as we would say, the gates to the schoolyard were open at 1 p.m. And immediately, I love the dedication of the students. Immediately, students were there lined up to come into the schoolyard. And when we went, when the doors were open a little while ago, students rushed in to the school to get vantage point, to hear the credible, valuable information. And once again, we promise that you are not going to be disappointed. All we ask you to do is share. All we ask you to do is give the thumbs up. We ask you to also take a comfortable position. We have lots of things. You're going to be amazed at some of the things that we have to tell you this afternoon. So share, and welcome once again to this afternoon's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. As I've said, July, I'm running the month, man. I'm running the year. June the 13th, 2025. That day, they say Friday the 13th is a terrible day for those who are superstitious and all of that. Jason, the movie Friday the 13th was a smashing hit over the years, right? Those of us who like horror movie, that was the go-to movie, Friday the 13th. I'm sure one of those channels, TNT or one of those channels, will get Jason one of the episodes of Friday the 13th showing sometime tonight. So share, and we look. A note that we get a little bubble with the internet. Hope we don't get interrupted. The gremlins are at work. Remember on Monday we get shut out of Facebook and all of that. And I have been saying to you students, gravitate to YouTube. And this is where you're guaranteed to be able to get the program live. And also when the live is finished, you can go to YouTube and you can see the rebroadcast. You can see it posted there. Also on Facebook. But as I indicated, on Facebook, what they're doing, they got a whole team getting taxpayers' money to report programs such as this to Facebook. They say all sort of things. How we preaching racism, how we are vulgar, all kind of lies they tell, right? And sometimes based on that, Facebook is gonna knock you off. But YouTube is a safer bet. So gravitate to YouTube, students. Gravitate. As I've said, 1 o'clock the program was scheduled, and then immediately the students were in. First man in, guess who? Well, a lot of people came in at 1 o'clock, but the first man in, that man from the hills, Baled, back in the number one position. Well, today he hadn't to sleep in the school overnight because this is afternoon class. So I don't know how he managed to get there at 1 o'clock on the dot. Then we had Peter Ulrich from West Dem. Ulrich, you're in class early. Wayne from the UK. Lucius, Clarence, Gibbo, Sean from upstate. Carl, Tessa. Tessa came at 101. These people all came in very early. Then we had Merton, Clive from the UK, Anthony Petersall in the East Bank, Mary, Claire, Esla, Aubrey, and this is Aubrey Gravesandi, Ashley, Jacko is here with us. Then we have Ricky Smith, Carol, Dexter, Vashti, Danny is here, Rosalind, Father Masha is here with us, Father Masha. Then after Father Masha, Siobhan, Simo is here. The angel came in at 101. Junior, and this is Junior Digger. Wonder what he digging. Then we have Nicola, Rosalind, Kenneth is here. Then Junior, Salima, Desiree, and Desiree is back in Georgia. Terrence from Canada. Roxanne, Raquel is here. John, Pastor Smith is with us. Tessa, Niall, Tessa Richards, Dorette, Felicia, Courtney from New Jersey. Then we have Winston is here. Winslow, Marva, Brian, Paula, Cecile, Compton, Magnell, Denise, back in Florida. Stephen, Sagi is here with us. Kerry, Ashley, Queenie, Michael, Annette, Hezzy, Clyde, Ross Levi, Arul, Michael Brower is here with us. Dwayne, Umi is in class. Colin, Melbourne, Gavin, Jakey is here. Deborah, then it was Earl, Emerson, Marcus, Doreen, Francis Keith from Melanie, Pinky, Bonita, Moses, then it was Kevin, Lyndon, Lester, Darwin, Smitty is here as usual, Carlisle, Mark, Junior, Abera, Boo, Lennox, Vibert, Sheena, Jermaine, Up is in classroom, Rhonda, and that's his Rhonda Chance, George, Sharon from the UK, Rupert, Paul, my namesake, Mark, Charlene, Patricia's from Philadelphia, Gordon, Otta, Mary, Selwyn is here, and this is Selwyn Smith, Mike, Heather is here with us, Oren, Claude, Claudius, Aubrey, John, Ann, another junior, Lorraine, Joan, Pito, Sean, Terrence, another Terrence, Rayburn, Phil, Derek Trotty is here, Malcolm, Fergus, Valerie, Aileen, Cecile, Basil, Orin from the UK, Uncle Paul, Enric, Princess Earl, Ingrid, Delan, Hazel, Aubrey is here in class with us. Vibert, the man from the East Bank of Demerara. Barbara, Janella, Dion, Lorraine, another Lorraine is here. Michael, Verlin, R. Crawford, Angela, Allison, Fredo is here, Sydney. And then the next round is here from the Namsel, but she's saying that she's listening to us. She's in Antigua and Barbuda. Another Lorraine is in class, Lorraine Brandt. We have Gail from Florida, Gail from Florida. Benji from Maiconi, Wayne, Sandrine. Then it is Mark, Karen, Roxanne, Maxwell Beaton, Rahul. Then it was Charles, Doris, Marlon, Mark, Rhonda, Pauline, Tuana. Then it was another, who next? Chilo is here. Another Pauline came in as well. Then we had Philip, Como, 8218, Alwyn, Mark, Vivian, Melinda, Patricia. Then we have Vibert as the last man in the schoolyard. Then when the doors were open, Abu from Essequibo Coast, Novella, Lynette from Barbados, June, Shondell, Simone, and the list goes on and on and on. I tell you all, where is Monday, Wednesday, Friday? I love the commitment of the students. I love the commitment of the students. And we are going to come, we're going to do the research, and we're going to bring you the credible, valuable information. So all we ask you to do what? You're up to 800. I know you're going to keep rising. Share. Because I guess by now, some people still have not grown accustomed to the Friday afternoon. It's not, well, by now, this is what the fourth or fifth Friday in succession we are here. And once we get information, like we have told you, we're going to come and we're going to bring the information to you. Nothing going to stop us. All the gremlins and all the, whatever they do, they're not going to stop us. No one can stop us now. That we're going to bring you the information. And in terms of announcement, let me go quickly. We did announce to you some time ago the death of Lance Corporal 25612 Crazy Springer, black boy. Well, I got the funeral arrangement. We say he's going to be buried on Friday. The 20th is next Friday. And they say viewing from 9:30 to 10:30 at Merriman's Funeral Home, Light and Ben Street. And then service at St. James, the Less Church, David Street, Kitty. Tributes between 11 and 12. Then service thereafter, and well, the tributes from 11 and 12, and then service will follow thereafter. And then he goes to number 42 Village, West Coast, Barbies for burial. But we also have an announcement here of wake. They say wake will be held. Let me get it right. Wake will be held at the Police Sports Club on Tuesday, the 17th of June. Then the family wake will be held on Wednesday, the 18th of June at Teachers Union Hall, Wolford Avenue from 7 p.m. And they said there's also a wake tonight at the Kitty in Kitty in the vicinity of his residence. I don't have the address, but I said tonight in Kitty, in the area of his residence, they will also be awake there. So again, condolences to the members of the force and the passing of Black Boy. You know, we told you to, well, almost every broadcast we come now, you have a road fatality. They reported that a biker dies in Albion crash, like sometime yesterday or the day before. And according to the report, the biker, well, they said a pickup was traveling east along, this is 19 Road, at the head up to 19 Road there, going east. The pickup traveling going in an easterly direction. They say the pickup attempted to overtake something in the path. The man rode into the path of the pickup drove into the path of the oncoming cyclist. Cyclist struck in the I saw the video circulating on social media, and then thereafter the pickup crashed into some parked truck. But the police said in the report that the man was picked up and taken to the New Amsterdam hospital. But the video I saw, a dead man lying right at the corner of the trench. So I don't know who was picked up. I saw the video with the man lying there, apparently dead, at the corner of the trench, and people were there around, milling around. Nobody was removing him or anything like that, because I suspect they believe that the man had already died, right? So that's what you have. And there was another one I saw last night that is not reported as yet, where you see a guy dressed, you know, these people working with in the oil and gas, they have on this clothing with the luminous strip and so on. I saw a man just like that lying in the middle of the road, obviously dead. Something struck him and killed him. So dangerous roads. And what they're doing, what they're saying, you're not hearing anything. And I noted too that the traffic department no longer issues an update on the amount of or the number of fatal accidents, the number of deaths. They ain't giving you that. And when they do give you something and tell you about incidents and accidents and all sort of rubbish, they're trying to cover up this stuff. Yeah, so almost every time we come on the program, we have to report another fatal accident. Almost every time we come. We are here on Monday, we reported one. Here on Wednesday, I remember Wednesday we told you about the Linden man, 72 years old Linden man, who was found lying on the road, and the suspect, he was struck and killed, and the vehicle drove away. So that's what we have, right? And then let me go to board days, and then, well, in terms of death, I got to talk briefly about this horrific plane crash in India yesterday. We got to mention it. Lives have been lost. We will mention it. But before we do that, let me announce the board days, and then we're going to come back to that. Board day greetings are going out today to, well, before we go to Bordy, I should also remember to tell you today is 455 days since Alex Vaughn, Sergeant Alex Vaughn Police Sergeant Alex Vaughn was shot and killed. 455 days and counting. I'm going to keep every program, I'm going to keep reminding them of the number of days since this incident took place on March 12th, 2024, right? March 12th, 2024. And police sergeant, police sergeant killed. Now, border greetings today. Who we have? Oh, woman assistant superintendent. I think she's still an assistant superintendent. Dion McFarlane. Used to be Pollard. Dion McFarlane. She's observing her natal day today. Also observing the natal day today is retired member. Can't remember what thing she retired as a sergeant, or I can't remember. Lorna, who's always on the program. I didn't see her in the schoolyard today, but Lorna Adonis, 14913, is celebrating or observing our natal day today. And then we have a belated birthday greeting going out to retired woman Inspector June Amsterdam, who observed our natal day yesterday. And advanced birthday greetings are going out to Patrice Henry, attorney at law. He was a member of the force, you know. He was a police, right? Patrice is observing his natal day on Sunday. And then we have two others. Glendon Lashley used to be at the training school at some stage. I don't know where he is now. I think he retired as an inspector. And Gavin Marshall, he used to be, I think, in F Division at some stage when he retired. So those people are celebrating, I think it's Sunday. So I want to give birthday greetings to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are going to celebrate it in the near future. And in terms of greetings too, I want to, let me see, say congratulations to Woman Assistant Superintendent Holly-Ann Hooper, right? She recently completed 35 years in the force. I saw the police posted up. So that squad, I don't know the other members of that squad, but that squad recently completed 35 years. So I guess once you complete 35, you're close to retirement. Olian, but say bat and pad close together. I know you've always been a very disciplined and a safe person. So I know that you're going to be able to go through until you reach that golden time when you have to go into retirement. Because I know you ain't staying around like some of them. And I know you ain't get too bored certificate. So when the time comes for you to go, you will go. Let me, again, Father's Day greetings. You know, Sunday is Father's Day. So I got to take this opportunity to extend Father's Day greetings to all us fathers, including the mothers who act as fathers, you know. You have some single parent, mother alone, bringing up children and all of that. So Monday or Sunday is that day. And as I told you all before, according to Chris Rock, when you get Mother's Day, it's all kind of fancy gifts and so on for the mother. When it's Father's Day, the father get a big piece of chicken leg. So let me see what let's see what will happen on Father's Day. And you know, the next thing you see, when you look at TV for Father's Day gift, you know what they advertising the most? Tools. They're advertising tools, so fathers must continue to work. They make sure they're giving you tools to continue to work. So yeah. Let me see what's going on. Hold on. Like we got a problem again with this thing. I see comments coming through. Let me bring in Mr. Conway though. Let me bring in CC. Welcome to the Friday afternoon episode of Speaking Out.
Thank you very much. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. And also, congratulations to all those persons who celebrated birthdays and those advanced persons. And also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. And also to the women who cause us to become fathers. I just want to shout out to two persons. I was downtown and I met somebody reach out to me, Rashley's mother. She reached out to me in Water Street near the Starbrook Market, and she said she's a listen her. She doesn't miss it, and she share it with her friends, and also she gave me a contribution. Thank you very much, and I want to Shout out to a friend I met since I was a constable, Orlando. Met him at Mabarumo. I met him at the Kirku. I met him at Kurpong. I met him at the Sano. And he said he don't miss it. Even on the road, he also drive home back quickly so that he can catch it live. So shout out to those two persons.
Yeah, and the comments are coming in. There's nothing wrong with the system. The comments are coming in. Perhaps my system had stuck a little while. So yeah, yeah. So let me, on a serious note, I don't know. All I was taking up all morning on BBC World News. I was looking at well, maybe it's a war breaking out now in the Middle East. Israel launched overnight airstrikes on Iran rather, Iran. I get my dates and my names mixed up. Overnight, Israel launched air attacks on Iran, and of course, Iran has retaliated. As I speak to you now, I know there's a emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, which is chaired incidentally by Guyanese Caroline Rodriguez Burkett. I was looking at it, and the various speakers were talking there, right? So, yeah, that is what is going on. Another war breaking out. Another war. Iran is claiming a lot of people were killed. The Israeli prime minister said it was a preemptive strike because they say that Iran is developing nuclear weapons, and Iran has threatened to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So they have taken proactive action. They attacked many of the nuclear facilities. Now people are complaining that maybe depending on the damage thing, you talk about radiation, nuclear radiation, and all that. The world is a place in turmoil. The world is in turmoil, right? The world is in turmoil. So that is what is being reported there. Let's hope, all the president of the United States and the prime minister of the UK and even Putin from Russia, they're all calling for peace, saying they should scale back. Right? Yeah. Israeli in the strike, they're reporting that several nuclear scientists were killed, and there's Iranian scientists, and the general, one brigadier general who's in charge of the elite unit in the thing E2 was killed. So this thing is in trouble. I noted very early that the British and the US have said that it was a unilateral decision. So in other words, they're saying that they were not involved. Because, when countries retaliate, sometimes they only retaliate against the person who struck them, but everybody in the part who they consider enemy, they will strike. So let's hope that there's a de-escalation as it's been called for, and let me hope that very soon that thing ends, because it is not a nice thing. Because once these things happen, don't believe we are all affected, Because next thing you know, some sea port or something like that, some sea lane is affected, and supplies can't flow as it should. Therefore, prices can start to go up. It's all kind of thing. You got to look at these things in a very holistic way. So let's hope that this whole thing de-escalates. Let's hope. It doesn't look like that's going to happen in the near future, but we can only hope, because Israel has said they will continue their attack as long as it is necessary. That is what they have said. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, yesterday morning, we got this devastating news of this Air India airline. Let me pull up the note that I have here. Air India flight leaving India, from India to London, Ahmedabad, India to London, 442 persons on board the flight. And the flight, when you look at it, plane took off. Seconds after that plane took off, less than a minute, it crashed into a very populated area, some hospital, some place where nurses and doctors are trained. And they said that happened there. Before they reported that all 242 on board died. And then miraculously, one man survived. Let me pull up the note. I don't want to I want to pull up because I made so yeah. Air India flight number AI-171 from Ahmedabad to Gatwick Airport in the United Kingdom. Was 230 passengers and 12 crew crashed into a built-up area. And one passenger who was sitting in seat 11A, the man miraculously walked out with some minor, well, I can't say minor, but injuries, but he want to walk out of that flight. And, you know, some sad story. Yeah, because the 242 Neville is just the people on board. But we are hearing now that a lot of people on the ground died as well. When last I looked at BBC, not BBC, CNN, they were saying that the death toll has climbed to over 290. 290. So a lot of people were on the ground. From the time I saw that impact, it was there for all of us who were looking to see. It's still there on social media. Planes started to go up, and then you could see something happening. Then it started to come down, bottom straight into the building, and then turn into a big ball of fire. A big ball of fire. And it's difficult to imagine that one passenger survived. It goes to say, folks, that there is a higher being. Let me understand this thing clearly. The only way that man could have survived is because his time had come. So all those who sit down and scheming and planning who they're going to kill, who they're going to do this to. You know, I tell you, word came to me that they sat in a bar on the East Coast. I know the name of the bar, I know the village and everything. And they said, Slow got to be the next Crummy Wing. In other words, Crummy Wing was assassinated, and I guess they want to kill Slow because Slow talking out. But I'm going to continue to talk out. Because as we have seen with this crash, if it's not your time, it is not your time. Clearly, it wasn't that man's time. Clearly, it wasn't his time. So that in the midst of all of that we saw there, plane crashing, turned into a big ball of fire. And to imagine that one man, this morning I saw a video with all the charred bodies, well, not all, many charred bodies and so on, lying there. And you know, they said too that the black box was recovered. I said the black box recovered. And here, I made a note here to say, I am willing to bet. I am not a gambling man, but I am willing to bet that we're going to hear the cause of that crash. See that with all those video evidence and the black box being recovered and all that, we're going to hear about the cause of that crash long before we hear about the cause of the helicopter crash in Guyana that killed the senior officers and those members of the Guyana Defense Force. That I am going to bet money. I am going to bet money that you're going to get the cause of the Air India crash that took place yesterday before we get the report on the crash of the GDF helicopter that killed the pilot and the senior officers and others who were on board. I'm going to take a bet on that, man. I'm going to take a bet. But you know, they got some stories that came out of this thing, right? You know, yesterday when I saw this thing and I started to read the stories, right? Water came to my eyes, man. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Water came to my eyes. And I got two stories I want to read here for you people. Two, right? No, well, yeah, right. Now let me show you this picture. This is the last selfie. The last selfie. This is a man, his wife, and their 3 children. And this is a sad story. Hear what it says. Parthik Joshi had been living in London for the past 6 years. This is Parthik Joshi. Living in London for the past 6 years. He was a software professional who'd always dreamed of a better life abroad for his wife and 3 young kids who are all still back in India. After years of planning, paperwork, and just plain patience, that dream was finally coming true. Just 2 days ago, his wife, Komi Vyas, this is our here, Komi Vyas, a medical professional, had resigned from her job in India. Their bags were packed and they said their goodbyes, and their future was waiting. This morning is yesterday. All of them, full of hope, excitement, and plans, boarded Air India flight number one, I-71 to London. They snapped this selfie and sent it to their relatives. It was a one-way trip to start a brand new life. But they never made it. The plane crashed and none of them survived. In a matter of moments, a life of dream turned to ash. It's a brutal reminder. Life is terrifyingly fragile. Everything you build, everything you hope for, everything you love, it all hangs by a thread. So while you can live, love, and don't wait for happiness to start tomorrow. Very touching. I had to print this to say I'm going to read this to the students this afternoon. I say we're going to read it. Yeah, because, I mean, let me understand, those of us who have a little knowledge of this thing, this plane was a long trip from Ahmedabad in India to London Gatwick. So therefore, it's a long haul. So therefore, one can expect it was loaded with fuel. Loaded with fuel. And the fact that it crashed just about less than a minute after takeoff, the fuel weren't born. It's a big ball of fire. It's all the fuel and so on there. All the fuel. And then there's the next thing I want to read to us all. It says, this is someone in Varsha Ramlakan. I don't know where the person's from, but that is the person who wrote this. And I think it is important that we understand this. He said, this morning's tragic Air India crash has shaken hearts across the world, taking the lives of 241. That was the count at the time. In moments like this, we are reminded just how fragile and unpredictable life is. Death doesn't come with a calendar. It doesn't send a warning. One moment we're making plans, laughing, living, and in the next, everything can be changed forever. That's why it is important to live, truly live. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you. Hold them a little tighter, speak a little kinder, and never let anger or pride silence your heart. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it now. And not just for the people. Treat every living being with kindness and respect, whether it's a person, an animal, or earth itself. Compassion is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. To those who lost their lives today, may their souls rest in peace. To their families, may they find the strength in this unbearable moment. And to the rest of us, may we not take this day for granted. And I want to read this thing to you folks. Some of them sit back and they scheme and they plan and they do all kind of thing, all kind of thing. They focus now election in September. They say September the 4th. Up to now, Parliament has not been dissolved, but they say September the 4th. No one knows what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. And they sit down and they're scheming and all this type of thing. There's a higher being. And the fact that this one man could have walked away. He walked, literally got up and walked. Say he unbuckled his seatbelt and walk out. When everybody in the plane died. 241 died. This one man walk out. Tells us, one, that is they ain't come yet, and there must be a higher being. Must be someone to save. Seat 11A. And this was heartbreaking, I tell you, when you read the stories. One woman, she arrived at the airport 20 minutes late, so she missed the flight. She missed the flight. Of course, when you miss a flight, you're upset. You're upset. And then later she learned that flight crashed. And at that time, they said everyone had died. She too must count her lucky stars. The day has not arrived. Folks, I mean, it's sad, but we got to bring this, we got to mention these things. We have got to mention these things. So all them sit back and they get meetings and they're planning, right? All the crosses, KRASSES, all of them. No one knows what tomorrow brings. No one. There's a being. Not for them and believe, you know. Not for them, Tanti Mall and them, they don't believe in things. They don't believe. But we shall see, as the good Dr. Reed used to say, we shall see. We shall see. Now, let me bring in CC for him to comment on this, and then we're going to move on. CC, this horrific plane crash yesterday, buddy, it caused water to come well up in my eyes when you hear these reports and so on. I'm sure you would have looked at it too. What is your take?
Sad, sad, sad. Entire family wipe out. But mysteriously, one survivor. That's why we gotta say, we gotta praise the Lord that we're in a land of the living. And there's a supreme being. There's a supreme being. But all those who believe, that nothing can happen to them, that they live forever. The time coming, and maybe faster than they think. But then it's really shattering that 240 something people could have perished in one air accident, and one man got up. They say he was disoriented and he got some injuries, to show that the Lord is there, and the Lord is there, and the Lord is there for everybody. The Lord is there for everybody.
Indeed, the Lord is there for everybody. Now let me hold on, let me I want to go to this next thing, but let me pull up something and I want to read it for y'all. Oh sure, I want to read this thing here. One moment, bear with me. Bear with me. I had it here and it has gone. So um let me try to find it. Here it is. Here it is. And what am I talking about? The news broke around, I think it's this afternoon, that Baby Scalo, remember Baby Scalo? Baby Scalo is the man who sang what they say is this blasphemous song about Mother Lakshmi. I think is a Hindu goddess or something to do with the Hindu religion. It was there viral. I listened to it, and I don't know if you could call that song. The man went on the thing there, and to me, it was a lot of foolishness. I don't condone that. A lot of vulgar nonsense what you want to do with Mother Lakshmi and all of that. Well, I think the Ethnic Relation Commission got involved. And we understand that he was arrested. He arrested and charged for blasphemous libel. Hear what the story say, very short. And this is Travis Chase reporting. His name is, oh Lord, hold on. His name is, his correct name, they have it here, is Daniel Wharton, well known as Baby Scalo, right? Baby Scalo to be charged with blasphemous libel. And he went to court today, according to the story. I was trying to get the article where he went to court. Appeared before Magistrate, I think Judy Latchman, at the Diamond Magistrate Court, remanded to prison. Baby Scalo remanded to prison on a charge of blasphemous libel. Remanded to prison on a charge of blasphemous libel. And as I said, let me tell you something. I listened to the song, if you can call it a song, right? You remanded until July 1st, I saw that. But to show how the animal farm that we live in, to show the animal farm that we live in. Vibes Cartel has a song, I got to tell you, named Good Like Jesus. Vibes Cartel, who was a guest of President Ali at State House not so long ago. He was here a few weeks ago too with what they call the Moderation Show or something like that. He has a song called Good Like Jesus. Came to Guyana. Song is being played in Guyana. He was a guest of the President of Guyana. And if you listen to the song, he say how he speaks out when he said good like Jesus, he talk out the woman private parts. And he using the P word. Good like Jesus. Nothing happened to you. No complaint was made. I remember the ERC had said something, some inconsequential thing they had said. But I want to emphasize, that man, Vibes Cartel, was a guest of the president of Guyana. Now, if you're going to sing to say that a woman's private parts good like Jesus and calling it in the P word, call it out, isn't that blasphemous as well? Isn't that blasphemous? Right? And what happened? As I said, the man was a guest eating some food. I remember the thing there at the State House. Not only this time, but he came some couple months before and he was there. And I'm making the point, it's an animal farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. So this man, Baby Scalo, and let me understand it clearly. As I said before, I am condone this. You can't even call it song. I would not call it song. The few words that were uttered by him cannot be condoned. Cannot. But remanded to prison for that until July the 1st, when the Bail Act that my colleague, Mr. Conway, speaks about frequently, says what circumstances, and I think he had apologized. He had apologized. So are you saying that if he is sent on bail, he's likely to continue committing the offense? Is he likely to interfere with witnesses? Will sending a bail defeat the ends of justice? Those are some of the questions we must ask. And answer no. No. But this is the Guyana that we live in. This is the Guyana that we live in. And because people don't talk out, people are afraid to speak out. People are afraid these things will continue to happen. And I'm going to read before the end of the day Pastor Nehemiah's poem to remind you. I'm going to read that poem. But let me bring in Mr. Conway now for him to obviously. CC, Baby Scalo, remanded to prison on a blasphemous libel charge. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the Bail Act, and I have it right in front of me. Perhaps you anticipated me, you preempted me, and it talks about circumstances which bail may be refused. And many times I got the impression like some of them magistrates, they don't read this act, or they maybe don't know that it exists. Section 7.1, it say a court may refuse to release a defendant on bail where A, the court is satisfied that there is substantial ground for believing that the defendant, if released on bail, is likely to 1, fail to surrender to custody or to appear before a court as and when required. 2, commit an offense while on bail other than an offense punishable only by a fine. Or 3, interfere with witnesses, tamper with evidence, or otherwise obstruct the course of justice in relation to the defendant or to any other person. B, the court is satisfied that the defendant should be kept in custody, 1, for the defendant's own protection, or 2, for the preservation of public order. C, the defendant having been released on bail has 1, committed an act referred to in para A, or 2, breach any conditions imposed on the defendant for the defendant's release. D, the defendant is charged or is likely to be charged with a serious offense. E, there is substantial ground for believing that the defendant has given false or misleading information regarding the defendant's case or address, name or address, or no fixed place of abode. F, the defendant's case is adjourned for inquiries or report, and it appears to the court that it would be impracticable to complete inquiries or make the report without keeping the defendant in custody. Or G, the court is satisfied that it has not been practicable to obtain sufficient information for the purpose of taking the decision required by this section for want of time since the institution of proceedings against the defendant. This is the act. The act is there, but apparently like they don't follow it. And the act is easy to get. You go to the Parliament building, and it's $1,560 for it. I bought it. I obtain my things. I buy them. I don't otherwise obtain. I don't thief law books and them thing though. But coming back to the Jamaican thing, that was guests at the state house. I remember watching a video. The president was there, and his little son was there, and he telling the Jamaican that his son is listening to his song. I don't know which one he was listening. Whether it's Good Like Jesus, I don't know which one, but he's saying his son was listening to it. Animal Farm, Animal Farm at its best, Paul.
Yeah, Animal Farm. All of us are equal, and some are more equal than others. And I have the poem here from Pastor Nehemiah. Let me read it to you. For all those who sit back and believe it's all well. He said, first they came for the communists. I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists. I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. That is what we're living in. They're coming for all other people who they call terrorists and who they call whatever, and everybody, oh, then it's not me, I am concerned. Your time coming. Given what is going on, your time is surely coming. Stay quiet. Because by the time time come, there will be no one left to speak for you. No one left to speak for you. Y'all share the life. I'll be going into some serious stuff, Serious stuff. That is not to say what we have just said is not serious. But we're coming into the meat of the thing. Share. I can pass a little bit so y'all could share and tell them slow and Conway getting into the thing now. Getting into the real thing now. Slow and Conway getting into the real thing. How is the real thing? As I indicated in the announcement, we got some stuff we got to talk about. Above it there. Thumbs up. You need to get some more thumbs up, man. Y'all give it a little motivation to move on. Not that I really need it, but it will be appreciated. But let me move on and give you the real thing. Today's paper. Somebody called me and said, Skipper, you're a real Obia man. No, ma'am, you're not Obia man. They said it's crystal ball walking. Because I told that person, it was yesterday was what, Thursday or Wednesday, I told that person, right, that the security guard from Enmore Falls there will be charged with murder. Wednesday afternoon, I told them. They said, I said, buddy, don't ask me out. The security guard, you're going to get a red rum, you're going to get a section 100. So this morning, and before I go to that, before I read the story, let me compliment the Guyana Police Force, the CID, the extended squatter, Blanda, let me compliment them. They have gone into the Guinness Book of Records as it relates to Guyana, solving crimes and so on. Guyana Police Force today entered the Guinness Book of Records. This is a murder that took place on Sunday evening at Buxton, at Fowles and Moore. Sunday evening, it was reported that this man was shot and killed, right? Shot and killed. You know what I'm talking? Rondell Clark, shot and killed. There was some confusion. They claim that the police claim, well, they had nothing to do with it. Evidence surfaced to show that the police were chasing this man. This man was on a motorcycle and the police were in hot pursuit. Relatives reported, villagers reported that the police were shooting at this man. Up to now, we don't know what caused them to chase him. We don't know the reason for the shooting. But then later on, when confronted with the evidence, we were told that 2 police ranks and 2 security guards were arrested because the man was shot in his abdomen area, taken to the hospital. It's a sad story because the police, according to what the people are reporting, the police, after the man was shot, they circled back, picked him up, took him to the hospital where they left him. No report was made anywhere. They just took him to the hospital, left him there, he succumbed. his girlfriend or his fiancée, whoever it is, called his phone because she wanted him to take something to her. And a nurse answered the phone. And when she inquired, the nurse said, you must come. They must tell him, come to the hospital. This man was shot. When they rushed down to the hospital, by which time the man had succumbed to his injuries. No report at the police outpost at this hospital. They got to police station, take vigilance, Covanjan, and more. Nobody ain't got no report of this shooting, of this incident. No report of this incident. And this man died. Then they claim that the security guard said that he fired a wrong in the air. Security guard fired wrong in the air. Guide is a strange place, you know. So he fired wrong in the air and he come down and knock a man in his stomach and kill him. Right? That is what we were told. Then they tell us that two police ranks, and the two security guards, the two police ranks were under close arrest, and the two security guards were arrested as they were awaiting a post-mortem examination which was scheduled for Wednesday. And this is a record because man killed Sunday night, post-mortem examination Wednesday, Friday, in less than a week, this man, what they say, Messiah Musuden, appeared in court, charged for murdering Rondell Clark. Record in the Guyana police force, record. Man shoot Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days and little bit. Murder charge for the security guard. Murder charge for the security guard, 4 days and little bit. Let me read the article from the this morning Kaicho News. I said Kaicho, Stabrook. I get it mixed up with dates and time today. I don't know why. Maybe because it's Friday the 13th. Hear what it says. It says, Messiah Musenden, a 25-year-old security guard from Boxon Friendship, East Coast, Demerara, was arrested by police on the 8th of June 2025, and he was charged today by a rank from the Criminal Investigations Department Major Crime Unit with murder. The police say that the accused appeared at the Vigilance Magistrate Court earlier today before Magistrate Sunil Scarce, where the charge was read to him. He was not required to plead to the indictable charge and was remanded to prison. The matter was postponed to July 15 and transferred to Covanjan Magistrate Court for report and filing of statements. Musuden is accused of the fatal shooting at Rondell Clark, which occurred on the 8th of June 2025 at Fowles, East Coast, Demerara. Two policemen had been held in the matter, and after several reports surfaced that a police vehicle had been chasing Clark at the time. A release from the police on June 11th stated that investigators recovered a damaged metal fragment from the body of the deceased during a post-mortem examination. The fragment was immediately forwarded to the Criminal Investigations Department Crime Laboratory for ballistic analysis. Quote, following a comprehensive examination, ballistic experts concluded that the metal fragment recovered from Clark's body was discharged from an AR rifle that was in the possession of Messiah Musuden, a security officer employed by Force Security Solutions. Additionally, ballistic experts were able to match a 9mm spent shell, well, they say spent shell casing. I know you get spent shell casing. Is that a spent shell or a casing? So they say a spent shell casing recovered from the scene to a 9mm pistol that was in the possession of Devon Boucher, another security officer employed by Force Security Solutions. In light of these findings, the Guyana Police Force wishes to make it unequivocally clear that the fatal shot which resulted in the death of Rondell Clark was discharged from an AR rifle in the possession of Messiah Musudin. End of quote. That is what the release said. Clark was shot dead on 2nd Street and Moore Falls on Sunday between 7:30 and 7:45. That is what is being reported. Now, before I go any further, and CC, bear with me, before I go any further, students, you know, when I talk about these things, as I did when we analyzed the murder of the Adriana, police counted a release It's slow and can't really talk about things what they know about and all sort of things. Well, let me tell you all my background into firearms and ballistics. I came up in the force as a teenager. I was an instructor teaching people firearms and drills. That is how I made my name in the Guyana Police Force as a teenager. I joined just over 18, and by the time the same year that I joined, 18, 19 years old, I was already a drill instructor and firearms instructor, right? I was a firearms instructor. I know enough things about guns. I had training in ballistics. I had training in IED, improvised explosive devices. I am well trained. And not only in the theory, those of you who are following my career know that I know the practice to I can shoot good. That is a skill that I have. And as I told someone some time ago, learning to shoot properly like I did is like learning to ride a bicycle. You don't ever forget. You don't ever forget. So I know about guns. I know about ballistics. Right? And I'm going to walk you all through. I'm going to walk you all through what we're talking about here today. We're going to walk. I'm going to take some time. So CC, bear with me. Right? And I'll make sure we get a note. So I congratulate the police on the speed with which this matter reached the court. Man shot and killed Sunday night. And Friday morning, they done solve the case already. The security guard charged with murder. And they say he had an AR rifle. Now, they come right up me alley there. When you talk about rifles and shotgun and pistols and revolver and target rifle and machine gun and all that other thing, you come up me alley. As a matter of fact, I'd always promised, I have the manual and those things, and I've always promised to donate it to the police library. But in time, they're going to do that. In time, I'm going to donate some of those stuff that I have to the police library so that the wider organization can benefit. Right? But I'm going to walk through some ballistics here with y'all this afternoon. And this is nothing confidential. This is no top secret or information, so let's letting out secrets. I own my skills on teaching people how to shoot. The mechanism of firearm, I know it good. Can't forget. I know from the time you pick up a firearm, you put your finger on the trigger, you squeeze the trigger, I can explain the entire process, including the ballistics. Right? I'm going to walk you all through. Now, they say that this man was armed with an AR-15 rifle. That's what the police say, There's a 15, an AR rifle. They say he was armed with an AR rifle. Now, AR rifles are semi-automatic rifles. Right? Now, when you talk about semi-automatic, whether it's a pistol, whether it's a rifle, it means that once you have rounds in the magazine, because all semi-automatic carry a magazine, you get a magazine, you put it in, and you make it ready, you cock it, as we would say. If it has a safety, you remove the safety. Semi-automatic means that once you squeeze the trigger, a round will go off. A bullet will fire. And as often as you can squeeze and release the trigger, this gun is going to fire until the magazine is empty. That is a semi-automatic weapon. They got some more complicated with bursts, single, double burst, triple burst. I ain't going into that. But I give you the understanding that if you have a semi-automatic weapon, once you put rounds in the magazine, whatever it holds, whether it's 15, whether it's 30, you cock it, as we would say, that is the mean you chamber run, the safety is off, you squeeze the trigger, and as fast as you can squeeze and release the trigger, a round is going to fire. Only once you have to cock it. Semi-automatic. It reloads itself thereafter until the magazine is empty. Now, if you have an automatic weapon, it means that once you put the magazine in, the safety is off, and you squeeze the trigger, once the pressure is maintained on the trigger, the weapon will continue to fire until the magazine is empty or the pressure is released from the trigger. That is semi, that's automatic, that's fully automatic. So we understand. So this rifle that they say this security guard had, an AR-15 rifle, or an AR, the NC-15 AR rifle, is a semi-automatic rifle. Right? Hope you're following me. Semi-automatic rifle. Now, an AR rifle fires the 5.56 NATO round, 5.56 or 223, same thing, 556 or 223 rounds. An average 223 or 556 rounds travel between 2,800 to 3,200 feet per second. In other words, it's supersonic. It is supersonic. It travels faster than sound. Right? Walk you out through this thing. But somebody says still have to cock. I don't say you cock. Once you cock and you understand? Once you put the magazine in and you make it ready, you squeeze the trigger, it continues to fire. What you're trying to say, Kian? All weapons got to cock before well, all automatic or semi-automatic. I explained that. If you miss that out, then that is your bad luck. Right? The speed of a 556 bullet, average speed, because you get a lot of other factors in terms of what we call the muzzle velocity, the speed at which the bullet travels on leaving the barrel. You get a lot of factors. The length of the barrel, the grain of the bullet. You get other factors in play. But generally, let's talk about a 155 grain or something like that. Travels at a speed of between 2,800 to 3,200 feet per second. It's supersonic by the time it leaves. Average length of barrel and so on. Now, let me say this. At that speed that bullet travels, right? If the bullet hits a person or it comes into contact with soft tissue, the bullet passing straight through you. Y'all listen carefully. I got one of your shooting colleague telling me you're at the top of the class here listening, and he knows what I'm talking about. The bullet travels so quickly that if it comes into contact with a body, an individual, soft tissue, so like your stomach or swan, where in other words, it then come into contact with no bone, right? It going straight through that body because of the speed with which it travels. And then, of course, you get other factors, the distance away and all of that. All of that will come into play, right? So we're talking some average stuff here now. Now, the police are saying that they recover a fragment. Let me hear what the police say. They say the fragment. What they say? Okay, a release from the police on June 11 said that the investigators recovered a damaged metal fragment from the body of the deceased during the post-mortem examination. A damaged metal fragment. So it's a piece of this bullet or the warhead they find. That is what they're saying, a piece of this thing. Well, buddy, let me tell you all something. If this bullet from this AR had struck this man directly, you can't recover no fragment. Right? Can't recover no fragment. The only way it is possible maybe for a fragment to be recovered is if a bullet ricochet. In other words, it struck something fragmented and then it struck the rondelle. In which case, it is extremely difficult to make a match, a ballistic match on the weapon from which it was fired. We talk about the bullet, you know. We ain't talking about the casing and all of those type of things. It is extremely difficult for you to actually match that bullet to the whatever fragment. You got to go into metallurgic test and all of that. In other words, you got to test the metal with the batch of ammunition that to determine, yes, it's from the same batch. You can't get a fragment. First of all, it is highly unlikely that the AR-15 striking a body in the middle section can leave any damn fragment. What are you telling people? And you could come for me because I know what I'm talking about. Fragment from an AR-15. That's an assault rifle. At any reasonable range, they're passing straight through the body. The bullet traveling at 2,800 to 3,200 feet per second, supersonic speed. It gone through the body. The only way that might stop is if it comes into bones and so on. Bones, it might then hit the bone, break up the bone, fragment itself in the body, and you can't recover no little piece. So again, the question is to be asked, A question is to be asked: is there or was there an exit wound on this body? Was there an exit wound? Because people here who know what talking about that if you shoot a person, right? As I said with the AR, the bullet passing through the body, so you're gonna get a little part where it going and a big thing where it explode and leak out wherever it gotta come and it gone away. And the dangerous thing about that too, is that if you're doing that in an area where houses are, it's a dangerous proposition because the bullet can pass through that body and it and kill innocent people in the area who are in the area. So this BS thing what they give us, and I got more to talk about it. This BS thing, what they're talking about, there's no way anybody who know the rudiments of ballistics will tell you that the AR rifle, right, firing a 5.56 bullet, traveling at 2,800 to 3,200 feet per second, only a fragment can be in a body. Only a fragment can be in a body. The only way, as I've said, a fragment can be in a body is if the bullet did not strike that person directly. It will got to hit something first and it ricochet. In other words, a piece of the bullet go its own way, strike the body. Yeah, that can happen. But in that case, can make no ballistic match like that. Well, let me tell you something about the ballistic match. Let me tell you something first about ballistics. What is ballistics? Let me tell you what is ballistics. And I have to go back to my notes, Went back to my notes. Let me go back to my notes. A ballistic test refers to the scientific study of projectiles. When we talk about ballistics, it's the test of projectiles and the forces involved in its motion. So it's ballistic test and the process involved in the motion. So when we talk about a bullet from an AR-15 or anything like that, we're talking about the bullet itself, which is comprised of what we call the warhead. It is comprised of the casing. It is comprised of the powder, the accelerant that is in there. It is comprised of a primer. That's the bullet. I'm going into the shape of the bullet. So you get the bullet to the front. We call them bullet, we call them warhead. Then that fits into a case. In that case is you have powder, gunpowder, and at the end of the back of it, you have a primer. A little bullet in the bullet. So what happens? When you squeeze, generally, that'll come from me, I know what I'm talking about. When you load it up and you squeeze the trigger, they get some mechanism where an hammer or a firing pin goes and it hits the primer, a little round thing at the base of the shell. And that gives off an explosion with a flash. The flash ignites the powder in the casing. The powder generates gases, which forces the bullet up the barrel of the rifle, right? Now the barrel of the rifle carries spirals, grooves and lands and grooves. So the bullet winds its way through, and as it winds its way through, it gains stability, it gains velocity, and it gone. Right? So when we talk about ballistic, we talk about the flight of any projectile, right? And then we have internal ballistics, which I explained a little while there. You have external ballistics. That is once the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, what happens? Then you have terminal ballistics. That is when it impacts wherever it is going. And then we have, let me tell you all about forensic ballistics. What are you talking about? Right? Let's say in law enforcement context, forensic ballistics help link recovered bullets and shell casing to specific firearms used in a crime. This is done by examining the microscopic markings left on the ammunition by the firearm barrel, often referred to as the ballistic fingerprint. Are they in the mood? I'm in the mood to teach. So what happens? They talk about the casing. As the police said, they recovered casing, and the casing, the 9mm casing that they recovered, showed that that particular bullet was fired from a gun issued to the other security guard. We're going to deal with that. I am going to deal with that. Right? So we are saying that in order for you to do, ballistics really, right now, forensic ballistic, is linking if a person is killed, as in this case, and you recover the bullet in the body or a substantial part of the bullet in the body, right? Now, that bullet in the body will have unique markings that are created by a particular firearm that it is fired from. Because remember I told y'all, when it is fired, the bullet winds its way through the barrel. And in that process of winding its way through the barrel, unique, distinctive marks are transferred from the barrel onto the bullet. Because again, the bullet, or put it this way, the barrel is generally harder than the bullet. Right? So the bullet can take off some unique markings from the barrel. So when you recover that bullet, and what happens? So again, first of all, for you to match the bullet to the gun, you have to fire the gun. You have to get a test fire of the gun. You have to test fire this gun and recover the bullet that was fired. So there's the known bullet and the known warhead. So you have the known warhead. So when the bullet, again, you recover the bullet from the body. That is known as the suspect bullet. Can you know which gun fired at? Now, the gun that you suspect that might be fired, in this case, is AR or whatever rifle, you have to then discharge that. They get traps and swan that you discharge, you recover the bullet fired from the gun. So now you're going to make a comparison, a microscopic comparison, to see if the features on this known bullet match the features on this suspect bullet. Come on, I've been doing this since I was a teenager at 19 years old. 19 years old, like teaching them things. They say, so when these people come with this nonsense, say, I don't know what they're talking about. They could fool some people, they can't fool me. And I can educate you all. So, all right. So, and therefore, that is what I'm saying. It is even more difficult if you only find a fragment. If you only find a fragment of this bullet, it's extremely difficult. And the people will tell you that what they will normally do at the FBI and at all those places now, they do metallurgic tests. Not just this comparison. You have to now go into higher science to determine the metal and the composition of the metal and whether it's the same batch of ammunition. It's a long, long process. So again, congratulations to the police to have been able to do all of these things in a day. I never do the thing to do any metallurgic test. I never think that. Hello, Alvin, Kekin is a top shooter. What's the matter with you? I'm on asking, well, you're asking a question. You're asking a question. I said no. I know all the top shooters because I trained them. I trained the top shooters at the TSU, man. And the name that you call was never ranked with them. Never. Never. I ain't gonna call some of them names because they're still there. In the days, back in the day, the man who ruled the roost was a man named Paul Slow. The best thing shooting pistols in the uniform service is Paul Slow. And then later on, when we come to rifle, Ransford Goodluck, Lennox Braffett, we are the people who dominated not only in the police force, but in the country when it comes to shooting. They couldn't test we. So let me understand this thing clearly. And as I've said to y'all, it's like riding a bicycle. Once you acquire a certain skill, like riding a bicycle, you don't lose that skill. Right? You don't lose that skill. Let me digress and tell y'all a story. Is that something like to y'all? I was a young, I think sergeant or inspector back in the day when the GDF for the first time invited the police. Colin Sparman, y'all know what you're talking about. The kid was good at drill. What you are saying? If you're asking a question, ask a question. If you're asking a question from me, ask me a question. Back in the mid-70s and onward, the man who dominated drills in the police force was Paul Slow. They sent me to the army. I was promoted corporal in 1976, October. And in 1977, I was authorized along with others to wear 3 stripes and go on a drill course in the army. Right? I went there and I dominated the course. When I started to drill in the afternoon, the commander, Colonel Pilgrim, and all them used to come on the veranda to admire this police. Admire the police. Drill upon the thing. They never seen nothing like that yet in the army. Ask the old soldiers, they're going to tell you. And then what happened? When it was the graduation time, they gave me runner-up. And here, when I was given runner-up, the soldiers were there at the passing out. This is on Camp Irongan up on the drill square. And when it was announced that Slow was the runner-up student, the soldiers booed. The soldiers boo. God, they know I was cheated. And at the end of that session, we were taken to the senior officers club. They had a little presentation there, Colonel Pilgrim. I remember well, Vibert Mingo, the Home Affairs Minister, was there. Lloyd Barker, who was holding on as commissioner, he too was there. And when they questioned them about why the soldiers do, why, Pilgrim tell them, you can't get a police to come here and embarrass us like that. Right? That is what he said. And you know what Lloyd Barker told him? We're going to take care of that. That was, I think, around April 1977. Around April 19, we're going to take care of that. And in June of 1977, I was promoted sergeant. At the young age of 21 years, I was promoted sergeant. So according to God, these are the good bad. I was good bad. And then later on, you had Lyndon Alves came along, and some others came along and did well in the army. But I was the pioneer in that. I was the pioneer in that. Right? So y'all don't come. I was telling y'all a story as a young sergeant that I was an outstanding pistol shot. Nobody could have beat me shooting a pistol. And we shot then revolvers, and we had a Smith & Wesson Model 39 that we shot. The GDF used to shoot the Browning pistol. And we were preparing for the GDF annual championship. And you know, they had a miniature range at the TSU, so therefore the people were training there. And the National Service people came. Leroy Ben, Booker, who died, and some others, Austin and all of them came to practice. And I was there as the range officer. And they stood there and they were shooting at 5 meters. I would never, ever forget that. And them are missing the bull and all this other thing. And then they had this debate as to whether the firearm was working properly or not. And Leroy Ben, who knew me well, thought I said, hey, Paul, check out this gun to see if this gun shooting properly. And I took the pistol from Leroy, and I tell her, I said, look, I don't want to shoot at 5. I went back to 10 meters, and the Browning had about 50 rounds. And after the first 5 or 6 rounds, the whole middle of the target disintegrated, the whole middle of the bull. Them I said, oh, wow, they talk about the competition. I tell them, the wickedness in me, I tell her, I said, no, man, me and them in the competition, I can't make the team. I know them every drop. The National Service did not take part in the pistol competition that year. Never took part in it, the pistol. Because the same Slow, who shooting so good, can't make the team. They're wasting time. But it's bluff or bluff them. I was the top shot in the team. And we went there, of course, and we won everything. So, but them names you are calling there, I know the people. I know them. Right? I know them. But let me move on to this ballistics thing, man. I digressed a bit there. Right? I digressed. Let me go on to this ballistic thing. So this thing what they're telling us, all right, there are some questions to be asked. I think you understand the ballistic thing we're talking about now. There are some questions to be asked. And we hope they can provide answer. We don't expect that. Why is it a security guard in what we understand is some business place, Chinese or other business place, right? Why is it that a security guard is armed with a semi-automatic rifle, AR rifle? Why is it? And, you know, we raised this before because all the places you go, you see a lot of people walking around. And let me say this further, as I've said before, many of these people you see parading with guns are not properly trained. The man, I understand the security guard said, he fired wrong in the air. Why would he be firing? Period. Well, first of all, why is he armed with an assault rifle? Obviously not trained, because if he was trained, he would have known that he can't fire even in the air, he can't fire the rifle. Can't. But that is why you have security guard all around the place with AR-15 rifle, little train. Not so long ago on the very East Coast, we had a situation where the guy had taken the gun from one of his colleagues and went and shoot his former fiancée, twin sister, shot her dead. Right? Shot her dead. Something needs to happen to all of these security companies that are giving AR-15 and other high-caliber rifles. People who get little or no training. I told you all, it's a scary thing, to walk around the town and see them lined up there with AR. Some of them you can't even recognize. They ain't got no proper uniform, nothing at all. Nothing at all. Then the police said that they found a 9mm casing at the scene, which matched the pistol, the 9mm pistol that the other guard had. No. There is evidence, at least statements were made, that the police were firing. There were several rounds firing, bullet firing. People said so. People said several rounds were fired. So wait, there's only one empty casing they had recovered? One empty casing? They haven't told us anything about the empty casing for the AR rifle too. They said they found one. What they say? They say additionally, ballistic experts were able to match a 9mm spent shell casing. Well, let me tell you all, Mark Ramadan was right, but there's nothing like a spent shell casing. It's either a 9mm casing or a 9mm or a spent shell. Yeah? They're not a spent shell casing. That is redundant. Spent shell casing recovered from the scene to a 9mm pistol that was in the possession of Devon Boucher, another security officer employed by 4 Security Solutions. So one man, I don't know if they were working in the same place, but one man had an AR-15 rifle and one man had a 9mm pistol. They should be at the border with Venezuela, not in the village of Fowles or Edmore, guarding some chap. They should be at the border, because we're talking about our AR-15. There's a military-style weapon. They say in the U.S. is the weapon of choice for the mass killers. AR-15 type weapon. So I don't understand what they say. So, and then you want to tell me you go through that whole scene and it's only this one 9mm casing you found? When people say shot the licking, carn the pelting all over the place, and only one 9mm casing you found, which you match, I would say, conveniently to the gun that the guard had. And again, it comes to credibility, It comes to credibility. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, a Batley Lang. I know you're anxious to get a little bat in. CC, let me hear your take on this thing, Emma. Go ahead. CC, you're muted. Check your mic. Something. Check to see if your headphone is in. We can't hear you. Can't hear you. Still can't hear you. So check to see if your headphone connected properly. Perhaps you might have to come out and come back in, but we can't hear you. Still can't hear you. I suggest you perhaps leave the studio and come back in, and we're gonna hear if we can get you. We can't hear you at this stage. Yes, folks, let me continue. Mr. Conway has a little issue there. Let me continue to say the company's Force Security Solutions. Are they going to do any check to find out how these people come to acquire AR-15 rifles that they're issuing to these security men? Are they going to investigate to find out what the level of training these people had to be issued with a AR rifle, a semi-automatic rifle, in an area like that? Let me see if Mr. Conway is back. CC, can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you.
Yes, we can hear you now. All right, good. No, let me finish this thought, and then I'm going to bring you back in. What training? They're doing these things, and one we had said earlier when incidents like these occur, since the one with the man who shot and killed the twin girl, you have got to investigate the company, what mechanism you have in place to issue these people with these type of firearms, and to check to see to whom these firearms are issued and what type of training these people undergo before they're issued with these firearms. But apparently that is not done. So you get a lot of people running around the place that calling themselves security, and they ain't got no proper training. In addition to that, you need to know whether this person was properly precepted to be carrying a firearm, any type of firearm, any type. Because if you're going to carry a firearm like that, the precept should indicate the level of training the person had and what type of firearm he should be carrying. You can't train him with a shotgun and then give you AR-15 rifle to carry. You can't train him with a shotgun and give 9mm pistol and all of those things to carry. You have got to certify that the man is trained and competent in the use of those firearms. In the absence of that, the company for security solutions is liable. And I would hope that the lawyers, I am not one, but the lawyers will take that up. What type of training these people have? Because I maintain, as I said with the earlier case, where this man shot and killed this young lady, that the company that he was employed with must bear some responsibility. Then we had one on the East Coast too, where a man shotgun killed this little boy at some mechanic shop or something like that. And let me say this, more of that is going to occur. More. Because they got a lot of people, all they're doing is they pay money, they get license, and anybody get a gun. We recall some time ago at Border Market, an 18-year-old man, an 18-year-old boy walking as a security guard, end up shooting somebody nearby. When they investigated the company license had expired some time ago. And Jackie Opel visited. I know the story. A former police officer was the conduit to Jackie Opel. And then the matter disappeared. And I have the evidence, because what they do, they try to falsify and backdate some approval and all that type of thing. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, man. CC, good to have you back. I say, right.
Yeah. Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Good. For the sake of emphasis, I'm going to repeat some of the things that you said. I might even plagiarize, because very, very important. Here it is, the police saying that they had damaged metal fragment. They examined a damaged metal fragment and traces said match with the rifle, the AR rifle that the security had. And let me repeat, because my little definition, and I go back to my manual that I get from FBI. Later on, I'm going to read some things about it. And it said the science of that ballistic is the science of projectiles in motion. As you mentioned, Paul, it is divided into three types: internal ballistics or projective motion with a firearm, external and terminal. External is after the bullet left the gun barrel, and terminal is the impact of the projected on a target or the object. Now the thing is that, as you mentioned, that there are certain markings when the bullet passed through the barrel. There are markings there, and those are the markings sometimes you got to examine on a microscope. But here it is now. I get into my book. I get it in front of me, and it talk about principles of identification. I'm going to read a bit, so just bear with me. Here it says, in order to make a comparison between a question bullet recovered at the scene of a homicide and a firearm recovered from a suspect, the firearm examiner will examine the weight, construction, and manufacture of the question bullet. The examiner will identify the question bullet and select an identical cartridge from his laboratory reference collection of ammunition. The identical cartridge will be fired in the recovered firearm bullet. In the recovered firearm, the bullet will be stopped unarmed in a water recovery tank. So we're talking about what they talk about. They get a firearm, a rifle, and they get a bullet. No, they get fragments. So I ain't got a bullet, which they call for, where they say they examine. No going on reading. It's a good identification laboratory practice calls for 2 or more rounds of ammunition from the reference collection to be fired in the recovered firearm. The recovered bullets are called test fires or known bullets. The examiner will mount both to the known test fired bullets and an optical comparison microscope. Each of the tests fired is compared against the other for the individual characteristics consistent of microscopic engraved marking, also known as striations. If the two test fires compare favorably, the examiner knows that the engraved marking from the rifle barrel are reproducible. The examiner then mounts the question bullet on the optical comparison microscope and compare it with one of the known test fires. If the striations on the question bullet match those on the known bullet, then the question bullet was fired through the same barrel of the known bullet. Next paragraph. The firearm examiner begins his examination of a fired casing by noting the words and numbers stamped into the head of the casing, if any, and looking for individual markings engraved on the casing. When a cartridge is fired, pin impressions are struck into the surface of the primer. In certain instances, the shape and size of the firing pin impression will immediately suggest the brand name of the firearm. As the powder of the casing burns, the casing expands in all directions and breech face impressions and chambers impressions are forcibly pressed into the casing. Finally, when the casing is extracted from the chamber of a firearm, extractor impressions are engraved on the casing. And here this final paragraph. It is possible that casings can be better evidence than bullets, depending on the composition of the material they strike. Bullets can be mutilated and their engraved surfaces rendered useless for comparison purposes. Let me repeat. Bullets can be mutilated and their engraved surfaces rendered useless for comparison purposes. Cartridges are usually not subject to such mutilation, and the individual characteristics of the surface may be more suitable for identification by the firearm examiner. So here it is, they're talking about the role, what they get the principle of identification. And we had a case where they say after within hours after the post-mortem report, and they find this damaged metal fragment, that the police were able to say that this damaged metal fragment that we got was the gun that the security used is the same gun that fired this damaged metal fragment. What kind of bullshit they're telling us? Imagine that. What kind of analysis they did? What kind of balancing test they did? None whatsoever. None I would like to know. And I don't have confidence in them. I have a little beef with the police ballistic people, you know. Let me tell you the story. When I was Commando Borbis, I always used to tell my men, hey, I don't want you to come and give me no caution statement. Find something at the scene and link it to the suspect. Local arterial exchange. Find something on left there, something on carry, something there. And then a shooting incident about 4 o'clock in the morning. A guy got up to use his style that he normally used to do it. And the wife heard 2 gunshots went down. And they called me and said, they won't find none casing. I say, here, go back to the scene and check when the place is bright. And they called me and tell me that they found the 12 gauge cartridge. One of the suspects who had some issues with the person who died, they had a 12 gauge shotgun. And we seize the shotgun. And we get a cartridge and we send it to this ballistic expert. And this ballistic man said, this shotgun fire this cartridge. Persons approach me. A man offer me a bribe. I say, baby, me ain't dealing with this dead. Me ain't dealing with no more the money. Me want no more the money. And I make sure that even the file that the prosecutor was using, the file was duplicate. All the exhibits be locked up for production in court. And lo and behold, the ballistic man come and give evidence, testify. I know he couldn't call the number of the weapon. I could have reloaded. He couldn't call the number. He was leaving out the one. I remember Bonadi Santos was defense counsel, and Bonadi Santos said, Your Worship, it couldn't be in this weapon that he examined because the number doesn't correspond. He's saying one number and it's different number from it, and nothing can tell me that the draw. And from since then, I don't have no confidence. And they got to do other things to me. They ballistic people. And then the DPP had recommended based on my report that he get charged. That we charge him and interdict him. By then I defeated office, and I think they charge him. I think they did because he was the only ballistic expert against the police force. And I know much again now. I know if they get only one or they get many other who are competent. So this nonsense what they're saying about damaged metal fragment and them kind of thing. No. We ain't taking. We ain't taking. We don't know the projectiles. We don't know how it operates from the time it leaves the barrel. What happened? All the markings and all kind of thing. And you have to get a real bullet. If it damaged, it ain't get no evidential value. It ain't get no evidential value. So they get a damaged thing and they tell me they get an evidential. I would like to know what markings they find there. What kind of markings they find that came through the barrel of that gun. All the gun. And then again to Paul, we be talking about the security people. Yeah? They're supposed to be wearing uniform. The act said they must wear uniform and they must get a badge, identification badge. When you see them, they ain't wearing no uniform. I see a picture of the person that charging more. I know it was is an old picture or a current one, but he gave us a bait on his face. And he gave us a bait. I know he wearing uniform. He was wearing uniform, And what happened with the other man? Where they said the thing match. What happened with him also? Nothing happened with him. And nothing happened to the security service. They man get training and then get precept. Hey, you're buying precept. You pay a certain man in town, you pay and within 3 days you get precept with the relevant signature. Precepts are for sale, just like how guns are for sale.
Well said, well said. I see one of the students, I know if you're making a statement or you're asking a question, says the chipper, you say casing don't, well, you see a question mark at the end, so casing don't carry mark, 9mm. All casings carry mark, all. As was explained a while ago. When you're doing a ballistics check, because remember, you might find, in many cases, you might just recover the empty casing, you might not find the bullet. You can find the bullet, and then the bullet, if you find a gun that you suspect was used, you can do the ballistic, and it determines, like fingerprint, to determine, yes, the bullet recovered in this body was fired from this particular gun. You have that. Then if you sometimes you don't find the bullet, but you find the casing at the scene, and later on you find the gun, you are able to do a proper ballistic check to say that this casing that was found at the scene was fired from this particular gun. All of those things are possible. You got the microscope and so on, and people who are properly trained. You do it, and you can definitively say that is what happened. But as I've said before, as they said, that they recovered this fragment. They ain't got no bullet, They ain't got a bullet. They, by their own admission, they recover a fragment. And I'm saying that the only way an AR rifle you could recover a fragment is that the bullet had to ricochet. In other words, the bullet had to hit some hard surface, and then it ricochet. And in the process of hitting that hard surface, that bullet is likely to lose a lot of ballistic value. Because all the grooves and all the lands and so on, the markings, are likely to be destroyed. And I see again that if you fire a AR-15 rifle or AR rifle and it hits body tissue, that bullet is traveling at supersonic speed, 2,800 to 3,200 feet per second. Nobody, don't call your fat, can absorb that. It's going right through you. It going right through the body. So we understand that. So there's a lot of stuff. And I suspect, as I've said, with this speed, this breakneck speed that they dealt with this matter, no proper investigation could have been done. I don't care what they say. No proper investigation could have been done. As I've said, only one empty casing you recover. What happened to the empty casing for the same AR rifle? You haven't mentioned that. What happened to all the other casings? People said enough shot fired. Did you check that entire area to see how many other shells were recovered? All of that. If you recover shell, are you saying that the policemen who lied that they were not chasing this man, that they are absolved from all blame? That is what you want to tell the Guyanese public? Well, look, again, I tell you, when you all talk and you all write, I love it. I love it because with my training and experience, I can go through it with a fine-teeth comb and find all the faults. And I give you all my background because they're going to tell Mark Ramakar for come and rebut, as he did when I said that the Adriana Young was murdered. They come and say, well, I contradicting professional people and that sort of thing. I maintain that I never said that she did not drown. She did not drown in the pool. The strong circumstantial evidence I am basing my argument on. She did not drown in the pool. So y'all could come out again and I'm going to come back and deal with y'all because I know what I'm talking about. When you come to ballistics, when you come to guns, you're going to know what in the police force can test me with that. As old as I have become, the knowledge is still there. The knowledge is still there. And I used to teach them. I used to teach even to when I was at operations. I used to go down to the TSU now and again and interact with the instructors. The instructors to test their knowledge and to tell them about certain things and so on when it comes to firearms. Because that is what this one of the things I know. As I said, as a teenager, 19-year-old instructor, teaching, training junior officers and so on. I know the thing when it comes to that. Now we're going to come back to this subject. We're going to come back. But I got another issue that I want to deal with before we close this afternoon. I am talking about the sanction against the 4 Guyanese, including Senior Superintendent Imnat Shah. Remember we tell you, hey, let me tell you something. Oh God, these people are not ordinary. And I want the US people to hear this one I'm saying here now. I know you're going to get to them. Remember, following the sanction against Shah and the others on the 5th of June, they jump out the same night, Home Affairs and the police. That Shah was sent on administrative leave. We came in this classroom and we told the student they lied because the police service commission life had ended and they could not have legally sent Shah on administrative leave on June 5th because the life of the commission ended since the end of last month, May. Right? Yeah, listen carefully, though. Share this life. This is a sweet piece of the thing. I've come to realize, I came by some information, and I want to come out and dispute this. That Shah was, in fact, sent on administrative leave. You know from which date? Yeah, listen carefully. Shah was sent on administrative leave from the 30th of May, 2025, long before the sanction. Yeah, let me repeat that. Senior Superintendent Imnat Shah, who was sanctioned for drug trafficking, was sent on administrative leave on the 30th of May, 2025, long before, days before he was sanctioned by the U.S. government for drug trafficking. And you know what he was sent on administrative leave for? Because, of course, he wasn't sanctioned on the 30th of May. He wasn't sanctioned then. The sanction was on the 5th of June. They said he had administrative leave because of the cocaine, the 4.4 tons of cocaine that was found at Matthews Ridge in September 2024. So it's on the 30th of May 2025, then they take action. Oh, Lord, you have to forgive me. You think these people are ordinary, incompetent, and lying, and to think that the chairman of the police service commission is a bishop. And I continue to say, I don't know if it's a religious bishop or a chessboard bishop. Yes, Rastaman, only now. But it had nothing to, let me tell you this. It has nothing to do with the 4.4 tons of cocaine found. Had nothing to do. The administrative leave that they sent him on, because they said he administrative leave to facilitate investigation. 8 months after. Had nothing to do with the 4.4 tons of cocaine. Because he is sanctioned by the US, they can't keep it in the force. So they recognize now there's no police service commission. Can we skin them up? We skin them up and say, no police service commission. Can I remember on the night of the 5th of June, Ministry of Home Affairs came out with a statement saying, oh, he sent an administrative leave by police service commission. Police say, give a statement saying the same thing. He sent an administrative leave. When we pointed out here, could not be because there was no police service commission. So they run. To retreat, so they run. And maybe Nosef tell them, say, well, look, just put that you investigated this 4.4 tons of cocaine, and that's what you're sending me an administrative leave for. 4.4 tons of cocaine. So cocaine found in September, I think it was. And all this time, they did something. They moved him from Massachusetts to the police transport workshop. Then they moved him from the transport workshop to put him as 2IC operations of the force, very senior position. And when we skinned them up here, and the thing reached, they said, oh, that wasn't so. When we saw the documentation, man, we saw they sent him back to the transport workshop. And then from the transport workshop, they sent him now to some special project unit, either Moncton branch close to them ours. Either Moncton branch close to the ours. Hey, you think they're ordinary? But tell y'all come to class, and we're going to expose them with the corruption and the incompetence and the downright, some of them behavior is criminal behavior. Some is criminal behavior. Right? So the caught in a bind with Shah. The ministry jump out on the night of the 5th of June. Oh, he sent and we congratulate and what I said, complimenting the US for sanctioning the police officer, blah, 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 blah. And then the president and them saying they're going to ask the US through the Attorney General's chamber for information that leads to the sanction. And we say, what information you're asking for? This is a man who was in charge of a division where 4.4 ton cocaine found. The paper, Kaicho News, carry article say he was fingered in the drug bust. You remove him from the division, and you didn't see the need to investigate then? You didn't see the need to investigate? And more than that, this is an operation, we understand, that was led by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. Right? They're calling KANU, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit. They're calling the GDF Special Forces Unit. And they did not involve the Guyana Police Force. And we asked the question since then, why? Wasn't that something for them to investigate too? Wasn't that something that they for them to investigate? You have a situation where 4.4 tons cocaine found in the thing. A newspaper said the commander was fingered in this whole thing. Right? Your movie, you get him playing musical chairs. You ain't investigate. You wait until now that the United States sanctioned the senior police officer for drug trafficking. And then you decide, you come out glibly and say, oh, he's going to be sent on administrative leave. In other words, they're parking you up and giving you pay. And then what happened? We skinned them up. Hey, we said, no, could not be. I want the United States to understand this, how they're trying to fool you. I want the United States Embassy and the government to understand how they're dishonest, deceitful, deceptive. They came with a public statement to say that this man is sent on administrative leave by the Police Service Commission, the non-existent Police Service Commission. And when we pointed it out on this program, they decide now they're going to back. They said he had administrative leave, not for the sanction, but for the drug that was discovered 8 months ago when he was in command of the division. That is what they did. That is what they did. And then a common challenge. Let us set out Ramatar and them to come and produce evidence. Because we don't come and talk wily. We don't come and talk while. I see, I got the news out of Trinidad. They appoint the new commissioner of Trinidad today. Well, the point we aren't supposed to go home. I don't know why Clifton Aiken is still the commissioner of police in Guyana Police Force. With all that is going on, all under his watch. And not only by the ranks under him, but he himself took $8.5 million from a businessman, Amir Ahmad. He admitted that in a statement. And they went ahead and they promoted him after that. And you want to tell me that we live in a real place? But you know, it's birds of a feather. I have so much more to tell you. Sisi, don't forget, we have one under here again, police sergeant charged with rape. Let's see them give no release under. We saw where the police sergeant, I think it was last week, they were quick that too. Sometime last week, police sergeant at Grove or Diamond Grove, whatever they call it now, on duty there, raped the constable, raped the female constable. They say he was under close arrest. I saw something where they passed it through court and he's remanded. They ain't talking about that. They're not talking about that. And so many other things. Police vehicle chasing a car across the river sometime last week or before the last. The car that was being chased struck and killed a man. They ain't talking about that. Police constable rape a 17-year-old in the police station, Parfait Harmony. They're silent for months after. And when people call and make dice, then they long over a month pass or something, then they issue a release. They say, I think they did issue a release long after. He said the man charged and bail, or he's on bail, $300,000 bail or something like that. Right? That is what is going on. The police force and the government insists and maintain that Clifton Aiken is the best person to be the commissioner of police. All the things, look, police have told me, and former police, up to a couple of days ago, a former police told me, a female too, that it's a shame to tell people that she was a member of the police force. It's a shame. And y'all look at my farewell speech in 2010. I alluded to that because the signs were there. The signs were there. It's not about competence. It's about people who can suck up to the politicians. That's what I want. And when you stand up for truth and right, they come after you as they did against with me and Conway and all of them. All because you stand up to do what the Constitution says that you should do. They're coming after you. But I have to tell you all, God's time is the right time. You see that man in the plane crash? Where 241 persons, there were 242 persons on board. 241 died. And this one man walked away. You know why? Because God says, or God said, it is not his time to go. It is not his time to go. So all them sit down there and they're planning and they're scheming. No one knows what tomorrow holds, man. No one. Jimmy Cliff sing a song, Time Will Tell. Time will tell, Jimmy Cliff. Those of us who grew up in the 70s will know Jimmy Cliff. Time will tell. But I tell y'all, I want to be around. I'm trying for K myself to be around when they get like Jacob and they walk in and shake up for the evil things that they have done. They can't escape, you know, the evil things they have done. Can't escape. And even if they escape, man, God waiting for them. He's waiting on them. The end, some of them end going to be bitter. They have done too much wrong. They have hurt too many people. And they're not seeing it, you know. Look, one of the most powerful ones in time, Brutus. Wait there now, 262 criminal charges. 262 criminal charges. Look at many of the people who retired not so long ago. They don't see them around. They're ashamed to be around the place. They got to be hiding. Some of them reach rank of commissioner and all that. They can't walk around. Can't. And at the end of the day, you're once a police and you're twice a civilian. Even if you produce 5 board certificates, if God spare your life, you got to turn civilian someday. But somebody tell me, they get some of them, they're praying to die on the job. They want a military funeral. So they want a military funeral. So they're sticking around. They're not go home. But God is watching. He don't sleep. He don't wear pajamas. He watching and he knows all the evil that you people are doing. You know. And it's time is the right time. Let me bring in CC for his closing, and then we're gonna get out of here. CC, your closing. I know we had a lot of issues we want to discuss. We have not been able to discuss this afternoon, the usual thing. But go ahead, my brother.
So true. And I gotta agree with you, Paul, is that Saul wasn't placed on administrative leave as a result of his being sanctioned by the US. My credible information is that he was sent due to they say what, as a result of the 4.4 tons of cocaine in region one for recovered, the cocaine recovered, not discovered, the cocaine recovered. They sent him on leave, but because we talk and he sanctioned, so they didn't sanction him for the US. They didn't send him administrative because of the US sanction. They sent him because they say cocaine, and I hear they said because somebody make some request for him to proceed on administration. I know who make any requests, but if you're the police service commission, nobody ain't gonna make no request to you. You are the sole authority, and then they backdate the thing. They backdate the thing, you know. They raise up from the dead. They resurrect themselves and they do what they gotta do. Now I got some concerns, you know, and from some people in Monkey Mountain, police in Monkey Mountain, Orange Duke, K2. And here they're building a station at Parramatta. They're making no post all about the damn place. And the skipper saying, the confirmed squad is saying, you get difficulty recruiting and retaining people. So I know who will deal with them. Now they're concerned that months now, there was a change in command in Region 8, Maggio. And they say they have not seen, they have not made no physical contact with the commander there, Superintendent Stanley, and the 2IC Deputy Superintendent Davison. They said they're battened down in a hotel at Maggio, and then again I'm visiting Monkey Mountain, then visiting Orange Duke, then visiting Kato, then going to Parramatta. They said they get many issues and concerns that they want to talk with the commanders and the deputy commander. And they got up to Stanley. Remember Stanley? He reports that he was bar hopping in New Amsterdam. And after the bar hopping, he was driving his vehicle and he had a collision with a motorcyclist who died. At the time, he was second in command of Borbies before the drawings on the roadway wash away. They sent him as being in charge of region number 8 from a 2IC in region 6 to person in charge of commander region 8. And they moved him on from region 10 and put him as second in command of region number 6. So the police them saying that, hey, they want to see their commanders or they want to see their deputy commander. You want them to visit them. They have a lot of issues and concerns. And I said, I ain't waiting for Jerry Gowaya come and salute, for them to salute Jerry Gowaya. They want to salute the commander and the deputy commander, but I haven't seen them. They're locked away in a hotel at Maggio. So I hope that they listen, and I hope they go and visit those people. Go and visit the mountains. Go Monkey Mountain. Go Orange Duke. Go K2. Go Parramatta and see how the station come, the construction of the station come. Now go and visit and talk to the people them. Talk to, I mean, it's border with Brazil, yes, it's not border with Venezuela, but you must go and deal with the people. Inspection is an indispensable tool of management. Go and inspect your station. Don't button down at Maggio, full stop.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I should have mentioned this before we start. For people like Jakey and Jacko, Aileen and Ireland cricketer. Oh man, the World Test Championship, Australia and South Africa. Cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. That's the often repeat repeated phrase. And this seems to be an indication of that. South Africa on the verge of defeating the mighty Australia. I say on the verge because cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. South Africa Australia bat first and make 212. So they bowl out South Africa for 138. A good lead. South Africa bowl them out today for 207. Right? And South Africa at the end of today, the third day, are 213 for 2. Right? They need another 69 runs to win that game. And as I was telling CC earlier before the program started, during our chit chat, that is the way of England. They're playing at Lords, the home of cricket. I have been there. I had a good fortune of being the first time I visited Lords when I was at Police College, 1994. My instructor knew that I was a cricket fan, and we went down there for a tour. I toured Lords, and then I had the privilege of touring there with the West Indies team as well. The thing about England, a lot of the grounds, you come one day and the place is gray and overcast. It's a bowler's paradise. The ball will be swinging all over. And then you come the next day, bright sunshine, batsmen could bat and make runs. I didn't look at the game, but I suspect that the fact that South Africa was able to Markram 100 and able to batten down Bavumo runs and make runs, I believe today was a nice sunny day in London. So the ball didn't swing around. The ball wasn't swinging around, and then men capitalized. And I told CC to herself, oh, tomorrow you come out there now. And the place overcast again, gray thing. The ball start to swing. It's going to be more difficult for the batsmen. But to make 69 runs more to win the World Championship will be a significant achievement. Because let me be honest with you, many of us, including me, did not give South Africa a chance of defeating the mighty Australia in the world. They haven't done so yet. Let me understand this thing. They haven't done so. And Australia being Australia, they ain't given up until the last run is scored. Australia coming tomorrow morning and they will run at them. Stark and Hazelwood and them men running at those batsmen. Right? So let me see. I can make sure tomorrow morning I watch see the ending part of the game. I will watch. God, tomorrow is only the 4th day. So you know it's a result. Because even if rain were to fall tomorrow, you get the next day. Right? So I would expect that by lunchtime tomorrow, this game should be wrapped up or shortly after lunch if South Africa decide to really dig in. And I don't think they should. Should go and play a game. You got a ball to lose ball, score because 69 runs. The 69 runs, you still got to make it. But I suspect, as I've said, they will keep playing good. Because Stark down at the bottom, get a half century. Hazelwood, get some runs. And they had a good 10-wicket partnership. So that was an indication to me that the place was much more conducive to batting. Folks, let me give you a little therapy before we close off, man.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
This is the man of yesterday. He gonna tell people out of the thing. Who's Su? They're talking about investigation. They're talking about rule of law. They're talking about investigate that allegation made by Su Jurong that you're taking $500,000 from Chinese to give them contract. Never investigated. And you know, the thing about it, they're running for election and nobody get the gall and the gumption for stand up to him and ask him. Every press conference you should be asked to give an explanation till they ban you. Every time you see, you're supposed to, if I were in their position, I walk in with something and I'm playing that. And the longer version too. should be played to let people see how dishonest some of these people are. It's an allegation. He's presumed innocent until proven guilty. But I've said, if you are not guilty, you're wielding all the power. You're running, you're now serving your third term. You're trying to get your foot. You get the power. You can cause a proper investigation to be done. Not bringing some Canadian or some wishy-washy thing. Cause the FBI or somebody to investigate this allegation that made by Sue in the Vice News thing that you're taking $500,000 from Chinese to give them contract. And you want to investigate. You want to investigate. Why? Why do you not want that to forget it? Forget about your sue. That is immaterial. Where you sue. Let the matter be investigated thoroughly, because I maintain the behavioral scientists in those reputable law enforcement organizations around the world would have analyzed the body language and the response there, and they would have come to a certain conclusion, so they know what the truth is. Folks, we had a long afternoon Friday. I want to stand between you and go into your watering hole to take your little toops or whatever you do on a Friday afternoon. My brothers of the Adventist faith will start the Sabbath and all of that. So, folks, enjoy your weekend. Again, happy Father's Day on Sunday to all the fathers. And do enjoy and be safe. And be safe. Too much blood spilling in Guyana. Don't let it be yours. God's willing, we're gonna be here again on Monday morning. And therefore, until then, stay good. Bye.